Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for ABN Newswire for receiving QMC again here tonight. It's not quite the same story as last time, just more advanced, and I'll try and demonstrate that to you. The disclaimers, which are important. The mineral resource statements, there's been a number of parties involved, and we're still working on bringing this together more, as you'll see. Right, the company structure, still the same amount of shares as last time. A bit more money, 402 million shares, 4 million in cash, but it's because we're into a heavy drilling program and upgrading our BFS study that's running down a bit at the moment. Our major shareholder was here last time, Kevin Maloney. I've been involved with and investing in his companies as well overseas. He's in Hong Kong tonight. He's unable to be with us. And also Ross Gilligan, who did present last time. He had family matters. He's not up until Wednesday. He consults with us. Stephen Maffey's here tonight. He's been doing a great job on the commercial aspects of this company. We have a lot of things to manage in our enormous amount of contracts we have out at the moment, I might say to you, and you'll hopefully see those come through to the market shortly. And Gino Fatali, who helps me on the corporate side from Perth, is here tonight as well. Richard Swan has now become full-time. He was formerly with Norths for about 8 years in development of parks, and with Compass recently, and now the Chinese and the Americans have worked that out. This is the location basically of our tenements in relation to the major players in the area. And as you can see at Cloncurry here, Copperchem, which are more known to a lot of people in this room as Washington 8 Sol Patterson, is the major shareholder, has invested a substantial amount of money in establishing a sulphide plant and an ASX copper sulphide operation there. And we're running from there down to here, then Ivanhoe runs down to here, and Ivanhoe bought the Barrick plant here, and they've just announced opposite some of our mines in their own area, an SXEW possible operation here now, 25,000 tonnes. And just to the north, about there, they're considering a sulphide plant originally at Mount Elliott, and we're, of course, sitting there at Curadella with them. So the infrastructure in the south, with the haul roads coming up to here, bitumen from here up, the railway line comes through to there, is very significant on the southern side of our operations. We do run up on the northern side here as well. We're concentrating mainly in this area here. This explains more. There's that haul road. These are our mines here, Belgium and Ansa, Stewart, right next to the Victoria mine that they want to develop as well. And Curadella, they own country underneath us and around us here. They own, you'll see some country along strike here from the Young Australian. So therefore, this is all our country that you're seeing here. And we've got 10,000 hectares of mining leases here, 1,500 kilometres or square kilometres of EPMs, which are substantial. You'll see that in a minute. These are our gold mines over here. This is a copper mine processing plant here, which is 25 k's from here. So the White Range project is east of the Cloncurry River, sitting in here, and we're working together. Our JORC resource has increased over the last 12 months from around 160,000 tonnes to 269,000 tonnes through drilling and revaluations. Our gold, which was zero over a year ago, has gone to 200,000 ounces, and with the new JORC resources at Mount Freda on our pure gold mines and Gilded Rose is now over 300,000 ounces. The cobalt is still rising and will continue to rise. I expect that to get up around 35 million, and I expect this in this year with current drilling to push up to around 320 to 400,000, and within the next 12 months, we're heading and planned up to, you'll see in a minute, up to 500 to 800,000 tonnes of copper at grades around the 8% mark at a 0.2 cutoff, or at 1% will be something less, but not a lot less, quite frankly. Our strategy is Tier 1 assets. We've got some major progress on Tier 1s, both on our current mining leases that you'll see in a minute and on the new areas that we've developed and inherited that we can add substantial value through resource drilling. The resource development will be through Tier 1 and Tier 2 to generate cash flow in establishing through our BFS, which we had inherited from 2005. We're upgrading that now, and we've already had approaches from some joint venture partners to establish and or to take our offtakes, as I just explained, into infrastructure development and processing plants. So we either do it in our own right or we're going to bring some partners in. And to leverage our tenement position through the sale of joint ventures or gold assets to help with this vast area that we have. Our core assets, as you see, a wide range. It's about 100,000 tonnes of copper there in the JORC, and in the BFS study, McCabe's running at about 60,000 tonnes. The Vulcan is something less, but the Curradella is running about 60,000. This is at 20,000, rising, I believe, to 100,000. I'll talk about that in a minute. This one will remain static because we're going to deal in this in some particular form. So as you see, we've got two core areas. They're both in the BFS study. One was based on Curradella and the other one at Greenmont. They're only about 20 to 25 k's apart. There's 25 k's across here to Mount Norma if we want to use that processing. This particular area here, we're going to grow this to 250,000 tonnes of copper in that core and 250,000 tonnes in this core. And they'll either integrate together or they'll be treated through different operations. This is going to be achieved, this growth, through 30,000 metres of drilling. It's already planned. We've done the first 10,000. We'll have announcements coming through. All I can say tonight is that I believe that we're onto some significant first-time deep mineralisation here on a project at Duck Creek. It's on a mining lease. And we're moving now into our second 10 to 20,000 metres, which will be in the White Range area, and I'll come to that in a minute. We're drilling Young Australian Greenmont, Hampton and the Sierra line. This now we're going to start to demonstrate to you the aspects. As you can see, Greenmont is still open. We've got some of the best in the world resource and block modelling experts working on this at the moment to validate our BFS study. And as you can see, this is copper grade thickness long section. Now this is quite a rich mine. It's open at depth, but we're restricted on our depth to 100 metres, but it's open along strike. It's not that anyone owns it below 100 metres at the moment, but Ivanhoe have got the EPM that may be own it. As you can see, all the pit models have been done. Golders have done a lot of work on this through the BFS study. This White Range, Vulcan, McCabe and Greenmont area, as you can see overlaying on Google, really shows the aspects of under-drilled and under-development here still. The Greenmont area is still big. The surprise gold, even though it doesn't look hot there, is a 400 by 200 metre gold target on top. Chopper Ridge is something similar, and it's overlaid with copper. And McCabe was drilled here. That's the mining lease, but you can see we haven't really got stuck into this yet. On the Curradella line, there it is, and it's open to the north. That's the old slag heap from the smelter that was there. That was the biggest operation in Australia at the time, in the 1900s. Curradella deposit, still open, 7.2 million tonnes, and that's at the cut-off of 0.2. And there's again, the pit designs. This is Stewart, and that's Victoria Mine. That's Ivanhoe's. They come into there. They go up along strike there. So just the haul road runs past here, only about 2 kilometres away, and that's going into the Selwyn and up to Mount Dore. So what they're saying, and if you want to read their releases at their capital raising they just did, that they're looking to put an SXEW plant in with 8 kilometres of this mine. Obviously, they would like to take feed from this mine, which makes economic sense, and we're trying to discuss with them how we might approach that in dealing with our mines that are in their area and other aspects that we need. And this has been going on for a long time, and hopefully in a few weeks' time we might have something more to say about that. Resource development. This young Australian mine, it's 21,000 tonnes now. We've got in JORC Code for the first time. This is just in this area. That's down to about 50 metres. We've already drilled down to 180 to 200, and up along strike we've gone into through mineralisation there of 60 metres. It varies between 1% and 3% copper. It's vertically down over a couple of hundred. We're in chalcocite. It's acid leachable certainly to probably around 150. There's no reason why probably not, but otherwise it's going to go to a sulphide plant eventually. As you can see, that's where that resource is, and it's bigger than that, but it goes into Ivanhoe's EPM, and they own this EPM here. So we hit very significant copper through here, and it goes up along strike here for 2.5 kilometres, hits the bullnose and comes back down. We've got to check that, but that's what we're going to find out about. Our estimates are that this has got potential for serious tonnage here, and it's only 20 k's from Mount Elliott or the Ivanhoe proposed processing plants in Swan, and Curradella's 30 k's, where they used to take the original ore down from on a railway line from Curradella down to Elliott. So QMC is looking to work off the back of infrastructure, and this is very important, as I described earlier in this program, because serious money and risk mitigation through working with other groups in these very big processing plants. It's a trade-off really between either your freight, that's a freight differential, as opposed to the enormous capex and risk you have to take with capex and establishing your own operations. We are prepared to do that with these sorts of third-party people or joint venture partners if they wish to come in. That's both at Cloncurry in the north and Ivanhoe in the south, or we bring a partner in. So there's 2 things here tonight. I'll try and demonstrate. Investors, I think that the market's overlooked us. Anyone who's got some serious money and wants to be involved in copper, they should be looking at this opportunity with us, because we need capital, and capital comes not just through equity and placing shares out. Capital can come through your joint venture partner, which doesn't influence your equity, but it does dilute your copper base to some extent, because we just don't have, they earn their way into some of that copper resource that we have. This area here is our upside, like you heard from the previous speaker, that these are major IOCG targets. We've already done, we'll come to this in a minute, we're testing this one here at the moment, and we've just done some drilling into this one here. There's something like 7 of them just in this circle, and that's to support that operation there, or down the road here to Curradella. These are targets that have got a capacity to deliver Ernest Henry type things, 500, a million, 1.5 million tonne of copper at, whatever it is, 0.7, 0.8 to 1.6 in the early stages as it was Ernest Henry. There's the work that's been done on them, and we'll fill this gap in for our next presentation, because all the work's been done across these other geo targets here, and we'll put those in. We'll be testing these periodically over this year, next year, and obviously in the next year. This one here we did last year. Cypress of America drilled just above here. We'll bring that in next time, but they went through some significant intersections, like we're talking 100 metres here, 0.5, 0.6% copper. This could be volcanic type porphyries or IOCG type targets. They're very significant. Sierra Line, that's a moly target, 7 kilometres long on the surface. Moly comes down and with sulphides deeper. We'll be doing the oxides here. So QMC is concentrating on shallow oxides for productions and near shallow. And as we go deeper, either with partners or ourselves, we'll penetrate and drill these and bring them into production. This is the overhang here, again, very significant. The Sierra Line, we're going to drill Toby Barty ourselves at the moment. This one here is another one along that line. These are all drill-ready targets. We've got 60 to 70 drill-ready targets that you're looking at, we'll prioritise these. As you can see here on Google Earth, this is a hot target. The E lane, you see it there on Google Earth, runs right up through here from Ivanhoe's Moly discoveries here, just here. That's Curadella here. And they're very interested in getting into this with us and into this with us and into this area here and of course, they're very keen on moly. So there's a bit of competition out there. We're just, I don't know whether somebody's going to dance with us in the ballroom or not, but I think we're quite a good looking sort, but no one seems to want to date us yet. This is gold, copper, at Chopper Ridge that joins Greenmont on the mining lease. That's the gold there, that was the copper, this is the gold, and it is regarded as a gold prospect. Now we're going to the gold assets. It's right there. Gilded Rose, Mount Freedom. We've got neighbours that we want to combine our assets with, and we're in discussions with them because it makes sense to share our plants and our infrastructure with them. This is open at depth. We're down to 280 metres here, 10 to 12 grams, and we're still in the weathered zone. So that's a real interesting proposition, this Mount Freda. That joins Mount Freda, another gold prospect. This is the Gilded Rose, 120,000 ounces right amongst the plant, 1.5 kilometres strike length. We've got to do more work here and go deeper, but we can produce gold through that plant right now. This is 400 metres by 200 metres. The whiz kids in our office say that it's 1 to 200,000 ounces of gold there. We're going to drill that right now down to 100 metres and see what we can come up with. It also has a copper overlay too, so that's pretty interesting, that one. Here we are on the valuation metrics. QMC is running at 2.6 a pound of copper equivalents. Trade sales have been running around 20 cents a pound, so big opportunity there for investors. Our resource on the enterprise, and this is the other side for our joint venture partners if they want to come in, besides investors, is really showing us that, it's really showing that we've got good grade. We're up at 1%, 220,000 tonnes, or if you want to take the copper equivalents, we've got 330,000 tonnes, and our cobalt can be extracted around 75 to 80% on the MET test. Our cobalt is quite serious. We're well over 300 parts per million, running at 500 and 600 parts per million. They're the trade sales that have been announced. At the moment, we have fluctuated between 90 million down to 21 million. We're on the low point at the moment. We're around about 50 or 60 million generally, but in the last 4 or 6 weeks, we've certainly taken a bit of a hammering. And there's our trade sale enterprise value. And even on a copper value at 20 cents a pound, we should be at about 120 million anyway, just on that basis. So finally, the values, exploration results. We're going to drive this through our work that we're doing, and John Gilligan's been working on that along with people in the office and our people up at Cloncurry to increase our resources. They've identified up to 500 to 800,000 tonnes of copper, and I can see it there. We're sitting at 270 at the moment. As I said, we'll get to 330, 340. White Range progress, the feasibility study is well underway, and we'll try and do some MET testing and get that rolling so that we can get into production with our partners or within our own right. Cash flow from third party or from our gold initially, and we've got another party coming in to start to put their own plan in to carry out some oxide treatment in the early stages on our shallow deposits. Tenement swaps I spoke about, and our gold assets we're going to deal with our neighbours. Summary, high quality copper assets in this, there's no doubt about that. We're in a hot area with very good infrastructure. We're in a major people around us, a major world-class copper discovery still to be made, let alone what we're trying to do and other people are trying to do, like Ivanhoe, MMG and even Altona and those. Leveraging off existing infrastructure, hundreds of millions of dollars have gone into that area that we don't have to necessarily invest at all. We're a low, attractive CapEx projects. Working off the back of that, 20 to 25,000 tonnes is the SXEW target for us, and 5 to 10,000 tonnes in concentrate, and we're an emerging regional gold producer. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to thank you very much for being patient to listen to this.